Especially with the Roblox Doors update right around the corner, people have been hard at work gathering up more ideas and featured updates within the community, some even bringing them to life within the game. These are updates where doors will never be the same again. What would you add as an update to the game? Let us know down below and let's go. Number 1. Fog Rooms. When Doors was first released, it was one of the best and also scariest horror games ever made within the Roblox platform. But as you can tell, many players are starting to get used to the environment and it's not really as scary anymore for seasoned players. Well, what if the developers of the game decided to add in foggy rooms? If you guys have watched the hardcore mode video, you could have witnessed the fog within the mod at extreme levels, and this alone just made the game that much scarier. Even just playing the game normally, but with the fog effect boosted, would make the experience harder as well. Think about it. The lights are flickering, and rush or ambush are probably about to make their rounds. But with so much fog going on, how are you going to be able to see the flickering lights? You'd have to use your ears and senses in order to detect them coming. Within the Doors update leaks posted by the developers, we have seen them tinkering around with added fog a tiny bit. So this could happen, possibly even for the Floor 2 update once that releases at some point. Number 2. Flooded Rooms. As you've seen from previous leaks, the Doors developers are not afraid to try new concepts in order to improve their games. And this does include new experiences from within, such as the introduction of cutting shears as new puzzles, or even the grandfather clock mechanic that was shown within the sneak peek. But what about the rooms themselves? Since the rooms within Doors are all randomly generated at every single door, imagine if a couple of them ended up as flooded rooms, filled to the brink with water and forcing players to swim underneath in order to progress right through. Makes sense, right? The hotel is old and abandoned without any employees for tens of decades. So of course, there's going to be a couple of broken faucets that might have caused the massive flooding within the rooms. New challenges could be presented, such as requiring players to go for a dive in order to obtain keys for locked doors underwater, or even an oxygen meter that would be used so players would have to rise to the surface again in order to breathe. It also brings in the possibility of icy rooms, where there could be platforms of icebergs within the rooms forming a stepping bridge, and if you fall into the icy water, then you'll risk damage. You also can't forget about the added possibility of marine-related entities as well. You guys can let your imaginations go wild in the comments below. Number 3. Total Darkness. This one was actually an amazing idea that was posted within the Ideas Wiki for Doors, and it does involve with some of these dark rooms that can be very annoying towards the end of the game. Imagine if these dark rooms ended up getting a buff to the point where they required a new item in order to continue. Not even flashlights or even lighters would be able to make much of a difference in these rooms, but yes, that's right. We're talking about night vision goggles, y'all. Being able to amplify the brightness in the room, you'd be able to equip these for a limited time of 60 seconds before the gadget burns out. And not only would it help you within dark rooms, but it would also help detect any invisible entities that may be present. These night vision goggles would only show up in later stages of the floor and would be hidden in the same room where the super dark rooms would start to appear. You can't miss it, especially with the warning sign that is shown right before the rooms. That's what I call extra spooky. If you really wanted to though, you could also buy the goggles within the shop for about 200 knobs, and they do work within regular dark rooms, but you'd be able to see no darkness at all, which would actually be nice. Number 4, multi-key rooms. I'm sure we're all familiar with key locks and keys within the game, especially considering that the very first room does have this system installed within the game. And with yet another major idea that was shown within the Doors Ideas Wiki, this time it introduces the concept of broken keys being added along with regular keys. These broken keys would also act as normal keys within drawers, with the guiding light being shown and the sparkle sounds, but they would appear sawn off or even just bent out of shape in general. If a player tries to use this broken key on the key lock, it would simply say that the key is broken and that it cannot be used. Another similar concept would be to introduce fake keys to the mix as well, but these ones look nearly identical to the regular keys if placed side by side. These keys would also not work within the game, as it was apparently a key for another door within the game. This could make dark key rooms extremely frustrating, but having these in regular rooms with lights could be a huge boost that the key puzzles need in order to add a degree of difficulty to them. It also just encourages teamwork, especially if you're playing with friends. But it gets crazier. Redibles, the co-developer for Doors, actually posted a hint saying 2 locks, maybe even 30. Just be ready for harder key rooms is all I'm going to say, especially for the update. Number 5, door mazes. Let's be real here. The game has lots of fake doors within the rooms, and all of these doors is actually limiting the potential for these types of rooms. We have seen in a leak video that the developers are looking to add in multi-doors as some sort of a puzzle where you'd have to remember which room you're currently in. But they could also turn these fake doors into actual working doors in order to trick players to find the correct one. If they open up the wrong door, they take some damage as a punishment, and the door would simply disappear right before them. This does come from Redible's tweet, where they mentioned one of their biggest fears of going to the wrong room, especially within the hotel. So these types of door mazes would transform how the game is played, as now you'd have to actually think before you act, or else you'd risk simply losing the game. Number 6, Floor 2. It goes without saying, the developers have already teased the concept of Floor 2, especially with the hidden room at the end of the game's cutscene. But there's been a player that was able to create their own unique version of Floor 2, especially while using Doors assets in order to make it as original as possible. Even the mine lights flicker on occasion in order to fit the environment, and there's even a path that looks similar to the sewers underneath the ground. It just takes the game that we currently know to a whole new level, and quite honestly, the developers should consider hiring this map designer, as they do look super insane. What would you want the developers to add into the game? Comment them down below and the developers may actually see your ideas.